Good morning, West USA. Welcome to another Monday morning webinar, one of our last two Monday morning webinars. We're going to get into that in just a couple minutes, but we are broadcasting live high atop the Watchtower, better known as the corporate office here at West USA on Cave Creek and Bell. Well, welcome you to another Monday morning webinar again, and let's just kind of go through what we're doing today. Of course, Todd Menard here is to give us a look at the numbers. Matt Baker decided to grace us with his presence a little bit late, but he's going to give us the Home Street Mortgage Minute. Welcome, Matt. Of course, we got the Hoff here. He's going to give us the 3 Ps to winning listings. And when you take a look at, and when Todd gives us a look at the market numbers, this is going to be critical and very, very timely information. I'm going to give you 3 tips to success. I don't write them, I just find them. And lastly, of course, as always, we have Bob. At any time this morning you have any questions, you would like to get a hold of any of our guests, you want a copy of any of the slides, you can always feel free to email us at webinar@westusa.com and we will get that to you. So let's just move right along, Todd. What is happening in the market?
Well, the market, good morning, Mike.
Oh, good morning.
Hey, good morning. And, you know, when you said the Hoff this morning, I'm kind of thinking, I was waiting to go outside, see if we had Knight Rider out in the backyard somewhere. You know, I'm like, the Hoff. But, of course, you're referring to Mr. Hofstetter. Hey, you know, the market is still on fire, Mike. Last couple of weeks we've been talking about that. Inventories are still going down. We're down to 22,400 in inventory. Again, that was from, 26,000, 28,000 just a couple of months ago. So the market is still being eaten up at about, right now, 28% per month of the inventory is being absorbed. Average sale price is up just a little bit, a couple hundred, about $500 over last week. Average sale price, though, is up about $4,000 over last week. So the market is heating up. When the average sale price goes up, that means that we're in that seller's market. And, of course, 3.47 months supply basically means, if we weren't getting any additional inventory within that period of time, we'd have none. But, of course, we know that's not happening. However, we do take a look at the new listings on the left-hand side in that little gray bubble, and you look down there in the new listings, it's at 2085, 2095, I apologize, and that's about the same as it was last week. Big numbers, 5,781 pending. That's still high. It's not as significantly high. I mean, we should be seeing that number somewhere around 7,000 or 8,000 by the time the summer ends. But you can definitely look just from the last couple of weeks and the last couple of months, taking a look at it, you're seeing the trend. It's gone from basically 4,000 average pending up to almost 6,000 average pending. So we're right on target with those numbers to ultimately give us what we talked about in the end of the year, Mike, which was, all the forecasters saying 8 to 12%, increase in volume. Now, this is the first time, everybody, that we've had an increase in volume in the last 3 years. Up until now, if you've taken a look at armless inventory, maybe you've taken a look at your own inventory, you've noticed that the sales have gone down. The unit production has gone down, but the sale prices had been going up. So overall, Armless was reporting that, and all the indicators were reporting that the agents were making more money because of, the higher volume. However, this year they said that the units were going to take off, and the units were going to run somewhere upwards of 10%, maybe even as high as 15%. And you know what? We're seeing that. Last month, you remember that. You look right down there with 7,881 closed units, and again, for the month of February, which we talked about before. So again, you can see this happening in the inventory. If you take a look at the spreadsheet, both of these are already up on mywestusa.com on the dashboard under market stats. But you can take a look and see some of the things highlighted. It goes back, and the green is the previous month, the yellow is the current month, as far as indicators are concerned. But again, the market is doing exactly what it said, about 96%. Sale price to list price retention. The sellers aren't giving away much right this particular moment. Leading into Mike's presentation, I got to tell you, Mr. Weinstein, that because there's a couple of Mikes here this morning, the Hoff is in town.
I'm the good-looking and charming one.
Well, you definitely have that face for radio. There's no question about that.
Thank you.
But the thing is that we have, it's leading in. What do you do? What should you be doing right now as an agent out there in the marketplace? And there's no misunderstanding. This time of year, it's always the same story. Get yourself in front of people. Start talking about the listings. Start talking about the marketplace. Now's a good time to sell, and why is it a good time to sell? And then the buyers will show up. If you focus on listings, then the buyers will end up showing up all by themselves. So do yourself a favor and
Well,
and
I have
focus on the
two
listings.
indicators for me that I'm going by right now. That's letting me know that the market is heating up, and not only that the market is heating up, that the word is getting out. Number one, this weekend when I was driving around my neighborhood, for sale signs are just popping up everywhere, and saw a couple West USA signs, so that's great. And two, I'm now starting to have neighbors and good friends coming to me and saying, "Should I get my license?" Because they are hearing that the market's heating up, and of course, my response is absolutely get your license, but let me sell your house first.
and then let me tell you about a great place to go to work.
Yeah, exactly. All right, Todd, appreciate that
All right,
very much. You can always find those numbers on the dashboard. All right, a couple of tips for success, and it's going to kind of go along the lines on what you're saying, Todd. You're going to really love the first one. When I take a look at entrepreneurship, I take a look at being an agent and being a successful agent and the things that separate the successful agents, which are a small proportion of how many agents we have here in the Valley. So the first one is make the uncomfortable comfortable. There are so many things as an agent that will help us become successful that is very uncomfortable. A lot of agents, we don't like to go knock on the doors. So take a look at a for sale by owner. This weekend I saw a guy putting out a for sale by owner sign. He was doing his own open house, and how badly I wanted just to pull up with my kit and have a little conversation with him and so forth. But for a lot of agents, there are a lot of scenarios that are uncomfortable. Not all aspects of real estate are comfortable. So I think what we have to do is, unfortunately, those are the things that really help us increase our bottom line. So we have to regularly put ourselves in those uncomfortable situations. No one likes to cold call. Everybody says, "Well, I hate cold calling." I have yet to meet somebody that wakes up every day and says, "Boy, my passion in life is to dial the phone and call people that I don't know." And it's a very uncomfortable situation. But the more you do it, or the more you diet, I'm going to have to work on my spelling, the easier it becomes. Repetition brings comfort. We have to, I think for all agents, we have to take a look at the aspects of real estate that drive the most business. And many of them are very uncomfortable situations, but the more you do it, the more comfortable it becomes.
Absolutely. Another way to handle that too, and again, years ago they were like, "Oh, work on your weaknesses." Today, that's not what they're saying anymore. Any coaches, any strong behavioral assessment type people, they're not saying work on your weaknesses. What they're saying is work on your strengths. So in other words, do what you do and do it really, really well, and do it so that you exceed everybody else, and that your own conversion rates and statistics and numbers are enhanced. And get somebody to do the things you don't do real well, and stop trying to be, great at everything, because you can't be. But, just like a great salesperson's usually not so hot on administrative work, it's the same thing here. Not everybody likes knocking on doors, picking up the phone and calling people, cold calling people, as they call it. Watch out for that do not call registry. If you're going to do that, talk to your manager, talk to your broker. But again, well, I think what you're saying, Mike, is you got to find what's working for you. And of course, the one thing that you do know is if you see other people that are successful, and you ask them, how did you become successful, and the people are all telling you the same story,
Yeah.
Maybe it's time you have to do that too.
Yeah, and even if you're at the ball game at the school, opening up the dialogue with those. I was at a ball game the other day, and one of the kids' dad is an agent for Keller Williams, and he didn't know, my relationship with West USA and so forth, and he just kept dropping hints, talking about listings, and keep dropping and so I just let him continue to do so. But there he was. It's very uncomfortable for people, but there are buyers and sellers everywhere. So make the uncomfortable comfortable. Number two, I know Matt Baker's already sweating in his chair right now, because this is just a grand slam right now. But number two, keep moving forward. Self-improvement is essential. I find that many agents get caught up in the busyness of doing real estate. They forget to improve their skills and increase their knowledge. Know the stats out there. Read the leadership books. Read the sales books. There's so much valuable information out there. That we just get caught up in, hey, I'm so busy as a realtor, I fail to do the things to improve my skills.
Absolutely. And again, the coaching program can certainly help anybody with that. If you're not good at doing it yourself, again, the purpose of the coaching program is to help you become better at the things that you don't do so hot. But at the same token, keep moving forward. They used to have this thing that said the more you earn, the more you learn. The more you improve your skill, the more you earn. So there's a delicate balance. You could spend your whole life in school or in training or in reading and be horrible at real estate. The secret is you've got to learn how to be better at your skill.
Yeah, my problem is the more I earn, the more I eat. So my wife wants me to limit on my profit there. Number 3 is don't ever quit. Failure is something all agents experience. We all know those agents out there that are selling $10, $20 million worth of real estate every single year. But they didn't get there without failing at things. And I think for so many agents, they don't move forward because they fear that element of failure, whether it's going back to the cold calling, going back to knocking on doors. You are going to have people slam their doors on you. You're going to have people that are going to hang up on you. Most agents, and this is something I think Dale brought up. He sent me an email last week. More agents right now are leaving the industry than joining the industry.
Yep, that's true.
And many of them are just simply giving up. And for that, and for us, that means the less competition out there. Think about this. The less competition out there, the more leads there are for us. And those people that are just getting into real estate, they don't know much.
You're absolutely right. There's this thing, the acronym for fear is false evidence appearing real. And what it really means is that, you're looking at everybody else's outsides and you're comparing it to your own personal insides. What you need to do is forget what everybody else is doing and find out what's going to work for you and be a master at doing that. But don't quit. I mean, if this is something that's exciting for you, if you're not getting the results that you expect, if you're not getting the money or income that you need to stay in the game, you need some help. Again, I can't suggest enough to reach out to the coaches for that particular purpose.
All right, so you were 3-pack today for 3 tips for success.
That was a really good 3-pack, Mike.
Yeah, I know. I feel
you
sorry
really
for
did.
that.
On this one, you hit it out of the park.
Thank you. Make the uncomfortable comfortable. Keep moving forward, and don't ever quit. And I do always feel bad for Matt Baker, so I'm going to put in some announcements before we have him on.
Thank you.
You should have ended this with one of your famous quotes, something along from like, Edison, who invented the light bulb, who failed, I don't actually know the number, let's pretend, 9,642 times. And, he now knows how not to make a light bulb 9,462 times. But the point was he made it.
I appreciate you giving me credit for putting a lot more effort into this than I really do, but thank you, Todd. Okay, so I want to congratulate those of you that logged on this morning. I got a call from downstairs about 8 o'clock from Terry saying, hey, somebody's on the phone, wants to know what day the webinar is. And then after talking with Bob, I think that was Bob. So Bob made it. Okay, there's a lot of talk about the webinars moving to Tuesdays. That is starting in May. So congratulations for those of you that are on today. Next Monday, we will have a webinar starting on May 5th. All webinars will be moved to Tuesday. This is a direct result of a lot of research that we've done.
Surveys from our agents.
And the surveys from our agents. Yep. So please note in your calendar, as you can tell, we're working on all the slides and so forth. So I want to also have you mark your calendars. April 30th is our Gala Awards Banquet. If you are an award recipient, you should have had an invite in your mailbox in your office. Hopefully you were notified by your office. If you didn't get one of those, keep tuning into the webinar. We're here to help you get there for the next year. But this will be open to all agents, so go ahead and save the date. We do have some more information to come. Can we make sure Matt's microphone's on right now? Because I want to talk about this real quick. I'm kind of putting you on the spot here.
Yeah, perfect.
But this is something you guys are doing. The Women of Strength event, I tried to put in as a speaker. I've got denied.
Yeah, you would fail that. You would not be allowed to know. For those of you that know about our team and what we've done, we're not just your average loan officer that works in your office, right? We try to do more. My partner and I and Susie Lavinda have put this. This is our 5th actual event. Last November, we have almost 400 agents, and it's more than just your average average speaking. We have a world sort of a national renowned poet coming, a couple good speakers I don't even know about that I wasn't allowed to know about, but that are supposed to be just really wow. And it's really about cultivating leadership. There is men that go to this event as well. It's not just women.
They're probably single.
Yeah. No, but I don't know. And you've got probably 10 or 20% that are men that come. But it is a really great event. We highly encourage you to attend and see what we also do to the industry, not just from a loan perspective, that we try to also provide a little content in a different way. So
you also have a Facebook page for Women of Strength too that people can go to right now if they don't really know what's going on. I know it says womanofstrengthevent.com.
Yep, you can go
That's
there
obviously
as well
to sign up. But if you want to know more about the Woman of Strength story, Susie's constantly posting different things on the Facebook page that's dedicated to this, and I think it's an awesome cause. I mean, you've done 400 agents at the last event. That's crazy.
Yeah, no, it's highly regarded, well regarded. There's tables, and a lot of people decorate the tables, and so it's sort of a whole thing around that as well. Again, I highly encourage you to just check this out. If you haven't seen anything from Bookspan Baker, don't even mind who's sponsoring it and that it's our event. Just know that it's more of about the power. This May 13th, it's about the power of forgiveness and what that can do in your life, and so it's more than just real estate, but it's more of a sort of a holistic, in general, propping up women in real estate as a whole. So anyway.
Yeah, great. So there is the link right there. You'll also find it on our Facebook page. Just encourage all, as many West USA agents to get there. Again, I think it's just clear to point out this is not a Bookspan Baker mortgage event, right, and come here, hear about progress. I mean, this is literally a leadership event for women all over the valley to come and hear from the best in leadership and really just to empower ourselves.
Yes, absolutely.
I know Linda Treya, our corporate career services person, was trying to, put together about 10 people that might be interested in going in on a table. So if any of you have any interest whatsoever in attending this event, and want to go as a group, as a team, show your red, white, and blue West USA strength, my recommendation would be reach out to Linda Treya.
Or that's a great idea, Todd. Go ahead and email us at webinar@West USA. If you're interested in participating in this event, I know West USA wants to get a table. If you want to be part of that, go ahead and email me at webinar@West USA, and I'm going to get you in front of the right people. Nice. Great idea, Todd. We're going to keep you hot on the mic real quick because this is huge on Wednesday. We are going to introduce West USA to Kaping before the rest of the agents around the valley get introduced to Kaping. And what you really need to know about Kaping is say goodbye to the likes of Trulia and Zillow, where your lead is not protected. Kaping, and I'm telling you, they are growing. All agents have to register with Kaping because this is the next thing. And at Kaping, if it's your listing, it is your lead.
A very good friend of mine, Heidi Quigley, who is president this year at Sevrar, and so I was president a few years back. We've known each other for quite some time. Heidi is the president of Kaping, another guy, Mark Lampy, and the point here is exactly that. They reached out to me because of, Clay and Clint's history of truthfully putting agents first, being a family business, the value proposition, and they said, hey, who's the best company for us to launch this program with? But let me tell you what launch means. Launch means that they're actually releasing it as of this Wednesday, April 22nd. You need to be there. This is a free thing for agents. There is no charge for agents on this whatsoever. This is not their value proposition. It's not to charge agents. And they don't sell. In other words, no other agent can buy a position on your listing that's going to cause them to get the lead instead of you. This is why this is taken. And I got to just tell you this. As of last Friday, I believe, they've already got 2.4 million listings across the country from different brokerages that have already heard about this because they were at the expo this past fall. And this is a huge thing. Your listing, your leads. You guys have been talking to all of us. You've been suggesting at suggestionbox@westusa.com. That you didn't like some of the facts of the Zillow and Trulia and Realtor.com thing. This is really cool. You guys got to attend. It's a fantastic opportunity.
And it's a chance for all of us to get on the ground floor because I have met with them. I have seen this. This will be the next big thing, and is there a chance to get on the ground floor? And we have for this Wednesday event, we're actually down to a few spots left. Everybody right now just should have gotten the message for the link. Most of the time when I say there's a few spots left, I'm lying. But but this time we are not. This is about 10 spots left for this.
So let people know 10 spots out of 100 potential seating downstairs. I mean, this is big.
Yeah, so you wanna utilize the link we just messaged you if you want to get signed up for it. So it is going to be huge. So that is Kaping this Wednesday. So with that, let's
Let's freeze the PowerPoint.
I'm going to annoy Nick. I'm just going to keep tapping this thing. All right. Now, I noticed, Matt, you've changed your profile picture on the.
It only took a year, but I got it. I got a new pic.
It popped out.
Yes.
Yes. All right.
The man, the myth, the legend, the beard is there.
All right. Matt Baker with the Bookspan Baker team at Home Street. Let us know what's going on with the market rate.
Let's jump in. So there's something going to be happening this week, and it really comes to and maybe there's a slight typo there, but it's going to be volatile is the point. And so I would say that interest rates are going to be probably getting worse this week if I have any indication. There's some signs out there that the market is improving enough to where it will deem rates to improve. But if you remember, the last few weeks, we've been on a bit of a roller coaster, and last week was actually a good rate week. We got better about 1/8 of a point across the board. The week before, we got worse by 1/8, and the week before that, we got better by 1/8. So, we're in this definite trading pattern, and it sort of goes to the, so the imagery of Mike's point that, that our market fluctuates and we go up and down. And I think that if you don't want to be a roller coaster agent that is going to have good months and bad months, it's the same sort of, analogy when it comes to rates. We've just seen this sort of, over and over again the last few months that rates are just going to ebb and flow going through here until we see a general trend. And, I don't know if we're going to see that. So right now, let's just go out there and be really happy that rates are really good, and that we could still, buy an FHA home under 4% and a conventional at 4%. I mean, again, I locked the $800,000 jumbo just the other day at 3.875. I mean, so.
Yeah, and I'm excited about moving in,
Smoking.
so I appreciate your help.
You got it.
Again, you got to remember, we've all been crying for a good economy, right? I mean, it's one of those things, and one of the things that comes along with a good economy is about a 6% interest rate, on mortgages. So, at some particular point when the world gets back to whatever type of progress that's going to be, we got to realize they're going to go there.
And if you look back at studies after studies, that there's no direct correlation between interest rates and the supply. I mean, and demand. Demand, right? So it's really sort of a myth, But anyway, let's jump into my Did You Know series that you control your PQFs.
And what?
For those of you that are newer in the industry, a PQF is a pre-qualification form, right? It must be submitted with all real estate contract offers. And when I say you control your PQF, we, as the Bookspan Baker team, set up your max. So your max is $220,000 max purchase price on an FHA loan. Then you get invited as an agent and can pull off your pre-qual up to whatever price you want. You want to write it for $202.50 or $201,500. Go for it. You have access to that. You would update PQF, put in the price, pull it off, and away you go. Now
that's huge because we've all played the game, and for those of you that are new to real estate, you may not be as familiar with the game, but if I've got a buyer that can pre-qualify for $220, but I want to get the house for $190, the last thing I want to let the seller know is my buyer can qualify for up to $220.
Well, especially if it's listed for over $200, you're trying to get them in. You don't want to necessarily show your cards, right? I mean, so back in the day, we used to get the LSRs, right? And we would do, we would do every 10,000, right? Give me 6 from 190 to 220 and every $5,000 increments. Well, you don't have to do that. Not that I don't love talking to you on a Sunday night at 9 o'clock at night. You don't have to call me, which I know you'd rather not do. And so now you've got this web-based, available 24/7. You've got the login. You log in and get it. Clients see a payment calculator. They get their do's and don'ts, but they also tell them who their agent is. So it's another way to link you to them in this process, which, they can walk into an open house and buy without you. We'd rather them know that they need to represent or need to work with you because they're another connection point between us to make sure we're working better together. So that's my Did You Know for the day.
That's one of your better Did You Know. You've been giving me a run for my money today.
I'm trying to step it up because you've obviously elevated your 3-packs.
I have. All right, as usual, there are the LOs for the Bookspan Baker team at Home Street. Definitely pop in if you want to learn more about this process, having access, and and how they can help you and your buyers. Pop in, say hi to them. There's the map, and you can find them. You can find them at all of our offices. Appreciate it, Matt. And so moving right along to the Hoff, we've got the Hoff back. Welcome, Michael Hofstetter. How in the heck are you?
I'm doing good.
All right.
Good. I like that picture.
All right. So moving right along, listings seems to be the name of the game right now.
They are.
And so you're going to give us the 3 Ps for winning listings, because this is critical. There's a lot of competition out there, and you got to know how to do it. You just can't assume. Like I've always assumed, because based on my good looks and charm, that the listing was mine. But that's me.
Yeah, I like that comment about the radio looks. That works.
Yeah, I got a face for radio, my friend.
All right, so listings are, I think everyone's talking about listings right now because you get them, they're selling fast. But how do you get them? When I talk to people about listings, I always tell them, listings are easy, but they can be super hard if you don't know how to run them. You know, so if you get a listing, at least you have it sitting there, you're waiting for the offers to come in, but how you run it is going to be the most critical side. So let's talk about the 3 Ps that I'm going to put down as talking. Planning is the first. First thing on planning, though, know your buyers. So be a good buyer agent before you move into being a good listing agent. You have to understand what buyers are looking for. So that's part of the planning there. So, but planning on getting the actual listing, set your goals, okay? Right here, I'm going to say you set your goals. You create a roadmap with attainable milestones. So have those milestones attainable on where you're going from that. You know, where are you going to be in 2, 3, 4, 5, or 10 years? That's going to be really, really important by setting those. 0 moment of trust. That one, I think, with listings is probably the most important out of all the 3 Ps or anything that we can talk about, is that I find out more agents have issues or problems with their sellers because they lose their trust. And it could be just as simple as showing up late, 5 minutes late. It could be as simple as, I'll get that flyer over to you today, and then you don't get it over till tomorrow, even though you got it there. So those moments of trust can be lost really quickly in listings, and that's what separates a really good listing agent from a poor listing agent, or having a listing that is wonderful or a listing that's a nightmare. So most of the time I hear when it's a nightmare listing, that is really important.
And for a lot of agents, it comes down to just mere communication. You know, what happens, just because you don't have any news on a listing doesn't mean that you don't stay in constant contact with the seller. And sellers, that drives them nuts. I haven't got my house listed. I haven't heard from my agent in 3 weeks. And then they call the agent, and the agent says, well, you know, nothing's happening. But even if nothing's happening, they want communication.
You know, the first thing I do in training for listings is, of course, get your listing presentation down. And part of that listing presentation is sitting with your seller and you guys going over what your expectations are. The expectations are huge. You always hear where, God, if I take a family member's listing or a friend's listing, they're usually more trouble than they are a person that I don't know. And the only reason that is, that I see, is that they don't set up expectations. You know, they don't sit down and talk about, because they're my friend, I don't need to go over that with them. And matter of fact, you need to go over that with them more on your friends and family than you would people that you don't know, because expectations are going to be a lot different.
Well, that's why with anybody, I always tell people to keep their expectations real low, and no one's going to be disappointed.
Yeah, I think I've heard that a lot.
Well, you know, but there is that saying, Mike. You know, I mean, that's a nice way of saying it. You know, you should be basically under promising and over delivering, not the opposite, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a lot of times agents set themselves up for failure because they think that what the consumers want is this smorgasbord of all these services, but in reality, what they want is your home to sell for the highest amount of money in the shortest period of time. That's really what they want.
Yeah, and understanding the market. And that's a great thing Todd goes over with you every single week. I think market dynamics are huge. Is the market going up or is it going down? And you really have to know that when you're listing properties so you can list it properly. So we talk about the moment of trust. To me, that's hugely important throughout the whole time you're with your listing. And it's hard to do. Keep your commitment every time where, you know, you're working with a buyer, they come and go pretty quickly, but you got a listing for 6 months or a year. You've got to stay on it, and you've got to keep that trust up with your seller or you're going to lose them. The next, leads are human too. So we talk about lead gen all the time, and I've been doing lead gen for 20 years. And you sometimes forget that that person on the other side of that internet is an actual person. You know, you're sending stuff to them on a regular basis, bugging them or checking in way too much. Just remember they're a person too, and they're all going on with their daily lives, and they're out looking, they're talking to other people, and so that's one thing I like to say to everyone. Just remember that your leads are human too.
Yeah, and I always talk about so many times, especially when I train on the area of content, of people if they're writing blogs, websites, whatever the case is, how important it is to know your audience, to empathize with them, know what they're going through. And a lot of times the best listing agent is the agent that has recently sold their home, because they remember they just sold their home and they've been entrenched in the process. And so when they talk up to somebody who's potentially going to list their home, they've got that added value. And I think for all of us, when taking a listing, we all have sold our homes at some point, and we need to recall that and understanding that they are human. We have to empathize, and that'll help us deal with them, because at the end of the day, and I always say this with content, you are a problem solver. You're not there to brag, okay? The person on the other end has got a need, they've got a problem, and you're there to help them solve the problem. That's how you get the deal.
Well, a lot of times people too think that they want to keep it sterile. You know, they want to keep it just business. They don't want to get to know the people too warm and fuzzy. You know, and realistically, that's the exact opposite of what you should be doing if you're looking for referrals at the end of the road.
Yeah. And when you're thinking about listing and working with that listing, and I like to tell everyone, your job is not to sell that house. That's the result of you doing your job. You know, you're going to be a messenger between the seller and the marketplace, and how you put that message out to those buyers, a pool of buyers that are out there, that's what's going to separate.
Bing, 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 bing. That is the top right there. That boy, if you could sum that thing up in that one sentence, you did a bang up job.
Yeah. I really like that
awesome.
message when I've learned that.
Great message.
All right. So let's next we're going to turn over to priorities. So the next sentence, ask yourself, and this question, when I first started here in 1994, I was Laura Todd. If Laura Todd's listening, it would be funny. But Laura Todd is an agent here, a very good agent. And she was my mentor when I first started in 1994. And she always taught me and said, you know what, Mike, is what you're doing right now making you money during the day? And that's the question that I asked myself, and I learned. It took me a little while to learn that, but I learned that. If what I'm doing right now either helping me or making me money, if it's not, I need to stop doing it. And that's why working from the house is always really difficult, because if I'm mowing the lawn at 1 o'clock, that is not making me money right there. So that,
well, not money in real estate.
Exactly. So that's important to me. All right. So now we come from planning, and now we're going to put our priorities down. If you don't have a database set up right now, you need to get one. Whatever database you use. My recommendation for me is I use Top Producer. I've been using it since 1995. But whatever database works for you, Wise Agent, you name it, you know your database and understand it, and segment your database.
And for those of you that have taken Patty's class, we also refer that to your CRM, your contact relationship management system.
Exactly. So the CRM will help you work your database, and that's where you're going to segment those people out. So how many people are in your database? Know it. Separate those from your Mets and your not Mets. I think that's really important. People that I've talked to that know me are going to be in my Mets, or classify them as A, or whatever you want to. I like Mets and not Mets. And the people that are not Mets are going to get a different message, because I want to make them my Mets. So when you get that database set up and you get it running, break them up into segments, whatever really works for you. I like that a lot. You could set them up as how many people that own a home, definitely the Mets and not Mets, and how many people are going to follow up, in 3 months. And one thing, a little plug for Top Producer here, whatever you have, Top Producer has a coach built right in. So if you haven't contacted your contact in 3 months, it'll automatically notify you in the little coach section, and you can get it right on your phone too. So this is a great way to follow up with those people, whether they're looking or selling a house. And that's really important to me.
Now, okay, easier said than done.
Yeah.
Okay, it's easier to tell me to answer the question, is what I'm doing right now the most productive thing I can do to attain my business? So let's just talk about maybe the main time eaters of things that we perhaps mistaken for things that are important. And then what do we do about, there are some things out there that we have to do in our business that really don't help me make money, but I have got to get some of the chit chat and some of the small business done.
Well, talking to your clients or talking to people that are potential clients is definitely the number one. I mean, you want to be on the phone talking to them. If you get to a point in your production, then we move into what we talked about, an assistant. So you get your production up and you've got your listings going. You might be looking at, okay, where can I best put my time and effort into is getting more business, more lead, and then I'll probably be looking at, and I would recommend anyone out there to get an assistant at that time.
Mike, that's a good point, because a long time ago they used to say that if you could pick up the phone and like if I were to call you and I were to go, yeah, hey Mike, what's going on today? You would probably start off by saying, well, who's this? And I'd say, well, this is Todd Menard from where? Well, from West USA. You're like, well, what are you doing calling me? And I mean, that's the first couple of phone calls, right? It's kind of like nobody knows each other, right, Mike? I mean, it's a haven't met to maybe to some point along the line. But at some point, maybe 5, 6 calls, repetitious calls, maybe one every other month or one a month, whatever your plan is. At some particular point, you pick up the phone, all of a sudden it's like, hey, what's up? It's like, hey, good, what's going on with you? And they already know you. They know you by voice. And the secret was, if they don't know you by voice, you haven't been communicated enough with them. So the whole goal is to get your database so that they know you by voice.
Yeah, and I think it goes back to, and I think the important part is, part of every day needs to be reaching out to contacts, because it's easy for us to say, it goes back to my 3-pack, making the uncomfortable comfortable. It's easy for me to sit down for a couple of hours, take care of all my social media, write the blogs, and write note cards and things that are easy. And at the end of the day, I can pat myself on the back and say, boy, I was productive, because look at all these things that I've done. But are any of those things at the end of the day going to help you make money?
You know what? Don't confuse action with progress. I mean, you can be busy, but you can be busy losing money.
Yeah, you could be busy getting busy.
Yeah.
And I see that a lot. Too much training and too much worrying about what's going on. And the beauty of real estate is you got to get in and do it. You're going to learn 10 times faster when you're in it. When you're sitting that open house, or when you're doing listing presentations. And if listings is where you want to go, and most agents out there, that's where they try to push away. I love listings. I love working with listings. You have to be able to go to as many listing appointments that you possibly can. So number one recommendation, if you know a big agent out there, meet up with them. Hey, do you mind if I sit in with you? Sit in as many as you possibly can. I can't even tell you 4,000 or 5,000 listing presentations I've sat on and been part of, and you really get to see what the seller's issues are, or what questions they have, or their responses, or their rejections, and how to handle all those. And there's nothing better. You can sit and read it, or get with another agent, sit across for them. So I'd highly recommend that.
All right, so let's move to point number 3, patience.
Hurry
up.
Yeah, Mike definitely doesn't have any patience, I tell you that. So patience, though, when you're working with listings, just know, don't rush it. Whether you're taking the listing or you're trying to get more listings, don't rush it. It takes a little time, a little bit of research. You put that property up for sale, test a market, and that's what I was talking before. You're a messenger. You did your research, you did your comps. Pricing is so important right now. And then see what happens. Track how many people come through that listing. What are you getting the feedback from the other agents? And that's the patience I'm talking about. Don't rush to sell it too quickly. But if you're doing your job right, it'll sell quickly. I can guarantee you that. So it does take time. And I put up here, plan 3 months. So if you're going to get into an area, you're going to say go after a certain subdivision, it's going to take 3 months before you get some results on it. It's not going to be something that's quick and easy.
Well, the 90 days is pretty quick.
Yeah.
but
you're going to get some kind of response,
right.
Not that you might get a listing,
but you're not going to get it necessarily this week, right?
Yeah, exactly. So it's going to take a little bit of time.
Work it.
And while you're out there too, and what I stated before, to be a good listing agent, you have to be a really good buyer agent. There's buyers. Get out there. The open houses. I got so many listings off of my open houses because the sellers were in that area. They were out looking and they wanted to see what that realtor was doing.
Is it fair to say, and I'll say it if it's unfair, I'll be the bad guy here.
Okay.
But if you're sitting on open houses, and from those open houses you don't get any buyers, you're doing the open houses wrong?
Yes, definitely.
I mean, because I'm thinking, because so many, I think where I see agents get confused is, and you would never want to tell this to your seller, But I'm not setting up in an open house to necessarily sell that home that I'm sitting in. I'm setting up the open house. Yeah, expose the home, but to work with to try to get those people coming in and out of the property as clients.
Yeah. As a listing agent, the possibility of a house selling, an open house, in my 10 years career, I've sold one, at my open house, the actual listing. But it gives you great exposure. The seller likes it. Again, we go back to the moment of trust. So you don't want to lose that trust. The seller wants to see some action in what's going on, but you have to set that open house up that'll work for you. And you can never let the open house pick you. You have to pick the open house. Maybe we'll talk about that in another segment on an open house, but you have to pick it. You have to know, is it close to a major road? Am I going to get exposure from it? Is the house clean? Is it nice? Is it priced right? I mean, that's, when the buyers come through there, they're going to, whatever reputation of that house, if it stinks or smells, well, then you're going to be a stinky smell agent in there, sitting in there. So you have to pick the right open house. I think that's hugely important.
And then I think it changes your perspective now. If now all of a sudden, if some of you that's just kind of just rung your bell, you're like, okay, hadn't really thought of utilizing open houses like that, then the next step is, what do I have at the open house? What type of resources do I have at the open house? Well, then you got to ask the question, well, if I got a potential buyer, a potential seller that I want to either sell their home or a potential buyer, instead of just selling a home, what resources do I need to have to put in their hands so that they remember me?
You need something of value.
Yeah, like instead of cookies, go with cheeseburgers.
Yeah, that's not a lot of value there. You want something that they can take home, put on their desk, keep in their drawer, that'll always be able to look at. Other homes for sale in that area are really great. Market statistics are really good.
NAR says that out of every 100 buyers, 48 of them are going to tour an open house. So that's pretty strong. That means 48 out of every 100 buyers tours an open house. They also stated in the NAR profile of home buyers and home sellers that of that 48, 4 to 6% are going to list with that host. So in other words, they're going to walk in, potential listers, sellers, are going to walk into your open house, and they're going to look at the way you've staged this house, not furniture-wise, but just like Mike said, materials, explanations, affiliated services, all those things. Like if you walked into a builder's spec house, all the tools that are available for a buyer, it makes sense that you have to understand being a buyer and go through those processes. And then as far as buyers, they said that 5 to 7% or 5 to 7 of those of those 48 are going to buy with you. So if you don't have tools for the buyers, and the sellers are coming in, they're looking at the place. Yeah, they might be looky-loos or Debbie decorators or whatever you want to call them. But the fact is that if they see a listing agent that's got their act together versus the listing that they went to last weekend, they're going to list with you. But you got to give them the tools to be able to make those decisions.
All right. Well, let's have you back a couple of weeks. Let's hit open houses.
Yeah, let's talk about open houses. I think that's a crucial part of your listing. If you're going for listings, you need to do open houses, as many as you possibly can.
Yeah, and this is a great way to utilize the dashboard. Go on the dashboard, see if there's any West USA agents out there that'll let you sit on one of their listings for open houses. Because some people are saying, I can't do an open house because I don't have a listing.
Yeah.
No, pick the area that you want to go. Get on MLS, look for West USA listings, call that agent up, say, hey, can I sit your house open?
And some people want to sit with someone else. They don't want to do it all by themselves.
All right. Yeah. All right, Mike, that was really good. Appreciate it. Felt like I had to carry you most of the way, but appreciate you. I'm just kidding. All right. Thank
you got to
Michael.
be like that, Mike.
I know. I am that way. Okay. Let's. We got Bob here.
Not winning that trust game. Huh?
Speaking of carrying, the man that carries me all the way to the finish line. Bob, help us stay out of trouble.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I was thinking about a guy I knew years ago, 30, 35 years ago. He used to go out every day. He'd come to the office at 10 a.m., sit and cold call for 1 hour, get 3 people on the phone and make appointments with him. He would talk until he made appointments, and then he'd go out and get at least 1 listing every day.
Gee.
He was fantastic. He would not quit.
But you know what? Because he did it every day, he got the numbers.
Every day. His name was Doyle Elliott, and he went and started Diamond Realty after that. He was something else. But that was consistent every day. Good. People used to answer the phones back then. I don't know. Here's a fella the other day, and these lockboxes you go into, be real careful about these. Read the plano and see what it says, what you can do. If you see a lockbox on a house, that doesn't mean you can go in it. You can't. Read the plano. So this guy, I don't know what he read, but anyway, he sold the house, got a contract on it. He was the one that sold it, the selling agent. And he decided at a certain point there that he needed to find out more about the house, what work there was to do in it and everything. So he went over to the house, took the keys out of the lockbox, put them in a contractor's lockbox, and hooked it onto the house. The listing broker did not like that at all. No. And they don't even have it in the key violation and fines. It's not here. They don't even. Nobody ever heard of this before, but apparently this would probably bring $1,000 fine, and you'd get bounced out for 30 days doing something like this. That's the best I can see in the penalty stuff. So be real careful. Don't do that stuff. Read, and yeah, I know. He said he used to do it all the time. Well, now there's some new methods in place. So be real careful, real careful. And I think I was able to bail the guy out of this one, so he won't get hammered too bad. He ran over there and took it off real quick. So I was glad to hear that. Then I had a gal from Wickenburg call me, and she says, Bob, I know you've always got wonderful language for clauses and everything, and I need a 1031 clause. Can you give that to me, Bob, so that I can write it into my contract, my 1031 clause? Because she knows that I have clauses. I said, well, her name was Pat. I said, go to the additional clause addendum. Wow, it's got lots of stuff in it. And one of them, here it is, tax-deferred exchange. Ah, that's what she needed. All of the words are right there, and you get this out of zip forms. Well, she didn't know that. That's okay. She called me and found out about it. And there's lots of things in these additional clauses that are on zip forms. Here's a backup contract, for instance. Contingent upon cancellation of a prior contract. Signature of absent spouse. Corporate relocation approval. All cash sale. Ooh, all cash sale. Now that's different sometimes. Non-refundable earnest money. Oh, those are the ones you hit. You wonder where you're going to go with that one. But anyway, it's here, and they've got it written out so you don't get into too much trouble on that. Waiver of appraisal. Yeah, some people will waive the appraisal, so there's how you write it right here. And then there's something about a survey. You can get a licensed surveyor in to do the property, and it's got quite a bit of writing there on that. Tax-deferred exchange and water, all kinds of things on these additional clauses. So remember that that's available on zip form. Okay. We turn the page, and we have one of the agents called me up. She says, I have a friend, known her for many years. She wants me to watch her home while she goes back to Minnesota for 6 months or something. She won't be here, but she wants me to watch her home, drive by it, make sure it's okay. And she says, but I remember you saying something in a sales meeting once, Bob, that you can't do that. I said, well, yeah, that's what I said, but really you can do it. If you get a property management agreement allowing you to do it. Yeah, you've got something filed with us, the broker. We can do it. She says, but then I have to charge her money. No, you don't. You can do it for free. It's not a problem there. She's your friend. Do it for free, but you do need to get a property management agreement so that we have the authority to drive by the house and walk around it and check, maybe turn the water on the flowers or whatever you're doing there. But outline that in your PM agreement, the property management agreement. Gee, here's somebody got an HOA addendum all signed by the seller. the HO addendum all signed by the seller, but the buyer never had filled in the numbers or anything. It was all signed. Well, what do you do now? Well, you better clarify this right now. You better go backwards on this. I know they signed it and everything, but obviously it wasn't what they meant. So you need to get that clarified, because you get up to closing, you're going to have a mess. So she says, yes, Bob, that's what I'll do. I'll get the other agent involved, and we'll try to get this taken care of. So that was good. And then another one, and this is one of these things that a lot of the agents get into this situation. Here's one of our gals. She's in escrow like 3 weeks already, and she says, Bob, they haven't ordered the appraisal yet. And I want to cancel this deal because I got another offer, all cash, come in. Can I do that? Because they haven't ordered the appraisal. NOOP. Nope, you can't do that. So I want appraisals ordered earlier, Bob. I said, well, you can do that. You can write it in the contract or counter offer it or something and see where you're at then, if somebody will order the appraisal, say, within 10 days. So I got to thinking about that too. You get an appraisal that should be ordered in 10 days. What if you're going along and you got, let's say, $10,000 worth of earnest money up on this thing, and you agree to order the appraisal within 10 days, the buyer does. Well, then the buyer does her inspections and does the Binzer and everything, and the 10 days goes by. And then you get a cure notice. You haven't ordered the appraisal yet on the 11th day. Gee, that could be a problem, couldn't it? On the 11th day, you haven't ordered, so they tell you to get it ordered. Well, I'm not sure that I want to order until I see what the Binzer says. Well, you're kind of up against some numbers there. You need to do something, because if you order the appraisal, you'll be okay, but you got a cure notice here. You got to do it, or you may lose your $10,000 worth of earnest money. That's a thought. You could lose it. You got to be careful of stuff like this. Plan ahead a little bit and make sure that these things work out right. $10,000 worth of earnest money is pretty heavy on earnest money, but the house maybe warrants that much money. Well, let's see what else we got. Oh, we got a lease. This was on Sunday. I shouldn't giggle on this. It was just one of those things that's just frustrating. One of our agents wrote a lease up on a property, really a nice property, and she says her and the listing agent agreed this is no problem. After she saw the lease, she had all the money up front, everything. She says, I'll just go get my owners to sign this. Okay. Then the owner says, wait a minute. I'm just going to wait a couple more days because I got something else cooking over here on the side. I'm not ready to sign this lease yet. And the people that made the lease up, they need to move. And I think they had about 6 or 7 days they need to be moving into a place. So that didn't work out so well. And she says, what can I do about it? The owner hasn't signed it. You can't do anything about it. She said, oh, no. The agents cannot make these decisions. You've got to have signatures from principals on these contracts. So that one, I don't know where it went, because that was yesterday I talked about it. I hope that she can get a signature on there and everything works out for her. She says, my goodness, Bob, there's $900 commission on this thing too. She says, I'd really like to put this one together. I said, I'm sorry, and you didn't want to hear what I had to say, I'm sure. She says, no, I didn't want to hear that, but we'll have to do what we have to do. Had another one that wanted to do a post-possession. People don't want to sell their house unless they can possess it after close of escrow, because they haven't found a house yet. Have you heard that, Mike? That we get those calls quite often. The people won't act until they found one first. I got a contract coming in, and I don't want to move. You're telling me 45 days. I don't know that I can. So now that creates a quandary, and you got to have some slick agents working this out, making it work somehow. Well, if you put in there that there's going to be a post possession and somebody's borrowing money to get in the house, is that going to work with the lender? Well, some it does, some it doesn't. You got to check it out. So that one came up yesterday as we went through it. Oh, another one came up here too. One of our agents sent out a cure notice too early. You're supposed to send it out 3 days prior close of escrow, and she sent out 5 days prior to close of escrow. The other agent said, you're premature here. Can't do this because we're not possibly violating anything. So she sent it out, and I said, well, I'll tell you what you do. Send another one yesterday. So that puts you in the time frames, and you'll be able to work it out that way. And I'm talking about time frames. How is our time frames? Okay. That's some good stuff that came in this past week, and I think I will, I'll cut right there. That's about the end of what I have right here.
All right, Bob. Well, I appreciate it. Very, very insightful situations. I always actually learn some stuff from this. Things I wish I knew back then when I was a realtor. I'd probably stayed out of a lot more trouble than I got into.
It's called DDD. Don't do that.
All right, as usual, I invite you to like us on Facebook at facebook.com/West USA Realty Inc. We've always got some great information. We got information about the Kaping event coming up this week, as well as some great tips and great articles out there. I also want to remind everybody that next Monday will be our last Monday morning webinar. So next Monday, join us. We're going to actually have our designated broker, Dale Hillard, in. He's going to slap us around a little bit. So join us next Monday. And then going into May, the webinars will be on Tuesday. So go ahead and check us out on Facebook again at facebook.com/West USA Realty Inc. And I leave you with the quote of the day. Kind of just ties into what everybody has been saying today from Maya Angelou. I've learned that people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. Folks, have a great day and go out and sell a home.